You know what? Spring is almost over, maybe already over when this video is out. I've done nothing productive. How about you? What if we draw a little chubby bee? Chubby bee. Let's begin our preparational part. So we are starting by deciding on the canvas. We are using a standard square canvas from Procreate with pixel width and pixel height set at 2048 pixels, DPI 300, color profile, sRGB with this low number. When it's all done, hitting done, going back to our canvas. And to continue with our preparational parts. Firstly, go under the description and download all the materials mentioned for this tutorial. When you did it, let's go and decide on the brush. So go into our brush library, go into the calligraphy folder, selecting monoline brush. And then we will tap onto our monoline brush, go inside the brush studio, go under stabilization on the left, and you would want to set the amount of streamline and amount of stabilization to the level that you see right now onto your screen, because you would want all of your lines to be very, very smooth. If you don't like how it looks, firstly, go under drawing pad, try it out here. If you want to tweak these options, go and tweak them. You have my blessing. When you are done with it, let's hit done over our top right. And let's continue by going to our layers. We will go to the background color, to this color palette that you downloaded. We will go under cards and we will select the background color. When we did it, let's go to our color palettes and let's select the first color. It will be our yellow-green. With this color and with the size of the brush of something around 6% or maybe 9%, doesn't actually matter, we will go toward the bottom and we will create the first shape for our illustration. So stepping a bit from the bottom and stepping a bit from the sides, we will create the shape of the ellipse with one line. Hold it when you are at the end, and let's also hold one of our fingers on the screen. We will create a straight ellipse in that way. Now let's lift up everything and we will go to our editing tool right here on the top. When we are in the editing tool, we would want to maybe move this shape slightly down and position it more at the center, and we would want the size to be equal to one another, so this empty space should be equal, and we don't want our shape to be very open, so try to create it in that way. When you are done adjusting everything, let's tap onto our screen with either our pencil or with our finger, and when we have the result like that, let's go to our icon with the color and we will drag the color inside this shape. Now we have the base for our bee, so let's go toward our layers. We will create one more layer right here by tapping onto the plus icon, and then we will go again to our color palettes and switch the color to brown. Now when we have this color, let's create the shape for our bee, the bee body. Let's go toward the middle part and with one line create a shape of the circle or something. Hold your line and the end the same way as before with this little patch of grass, and also put one of your fingers on the screen and hold it there. So that way you will create the super rounded circle. If you want to adjust the size, move your Apple Pencil while holding everything that you are holding right now from side to side. And we would want to go with something not too big and not too small. And we also would want to have some space on the top. So when you are satisfied with the size, let's go with something like that. And we have the shape, but it doesn't look like a bee. So let's go and adjust it. Let's go towards our hierarchy on the top left. We will go and tap on it one more time. We'll go on this bottom panel and we will use the option warp. So you can see we have the bounding box with some nodes right here, and also we have some intersections. So that's exactly what we need. We can go to any place right here on this bounding box and we can adjust our shape. What we want to achieve right here is to create a shape that will look like a loaf of bread. So we will need to have a more rounded shape onto our right and a bit of the weird shape over our left. So it should be all rounded. So let's go and tweak it so we will have a nice result. Now when we have something like that, let's go toward the middle part and let's drag it slightly higher so we will have a bit of a squish shape. If you want to go to some other areas and maybe readjust the shape, do something else with it, create a better shape than I have right here, you're welcome to go and do that. Pay attention to the right part right here. We want it to be rounded, but not too rounded too. So here we will position our face. When we have the shape like that, probably I will go right here to the bottom and make it slightly a bit more rounded. When we have the shape that we like, let's tap onto our arrow key one more time to go away from this window. And then let's again go and drag and drop the color inside the shape. Now, when we have it, let's reposition it. So again, go into our arrow key on the top left. Now go under uniform method and we will go and find the placement for our bee. So let's go with something like that, maybe going slightly smaller with the overall shape so we are not going beyond the frame of the grass patch. So let's go to one of the corners and drag it slightly down. And then one more time, we will reposition all the things that we have right here. So when we have the shape and the position for our bee, let's one more time tap onto our arrow key and let's go and add one more thing for it. So we are going toward the bum area and we will add a little sting right here. So let's go and create a rounder shape right here onto our bum. Hold your line in the end and go to this arc option on the top if you want to adjust it. So you can go with a bigger size, with a smaller size, with different placement. You can take a look at it from the distance to decide whether you maybe want to find the different size for it or maybe different placement, maybe make it smaller, make it bigger. It's up to you. When you found the placement and everything, let's tap onto our screen. And one more time, let's go and drag and drop the color inside this little shape. Now, when we have this potato shape, we will go to our layers and we will create one more layer on top. Onto this new layer, let's go and create the face. So go into our color palette and switch in the color to yellow. And with this color, we will go towards the right part and we will create another ellipse right here. So let's go and create it in that way. We will tilt it a little bit and overall create the same shape that we created before. So hold your line at the end as always. And when you have the shape, let's lift up our Apple Pencil and go to the editing mode right here. So we would want to go with slightly rounder shape and maybe go a little bit with a more open shape. We can have a bit of the color right here, the color that we had before, the potato color right here behind. So you can go right here to the right and don't match the line that you are working on right now with the overall shape. All that we need to do is to create a nice shape right here on the top that will not look too weird and too open. So when we have the result like that, also take a look at the tilt. If you maybe want to go and fix it too, you are welcome to go and do that. So don't go too beyond the frames. When you have the result that you like, tap on the screen and drag and drop the color inside the shape. Now, when we have the result like that, let's go and create a couple more details here. So firstly, we will get back to our layers and we will go underneath this layer that we are right now on, and we will create one more layer from here. So when we have this new layer, we would want to add one more stripe right here onto the body, and we don't want to go beyond the frames of this potato shape. So let's tap onto our new layer and we will use the option clipping mask. Now, when we have it with our color that we are using right now and with the brush, the same one that we are using right now, we will go right here toward the bum area right here, closer to the bum area, and we will create a curve like that. So hold your line at the end, go to the editing mode if you want to adjust the curvature or something right here, the placement maybe. When you are done with adjusting it, probably let's move it slightly toward the right so we will have more space onto our left. When we have it, we will tap on the screen and we will go and create another line right here that will be quite parallel to the first one. And again, we will go to our editing mode if we need to adjust it, if we need to adjust the curvature or something else. When you have the shape that you like, tap on the screen and let's go and close this shape so we won't have any gaps and we will be able to drag and drop the color inside. So when the shape is closed, drag and drop the color inside and take a look at it from the distance. Now, when we have the result like that, let's go and work more onto our face area. So we will go to our layers. We will go to this area that we have right here onto our face. We'll create one more layer here. And we also will go to our brush library. We will go to the inking folder and we will switch the brush to Studio Pen. Again, if you want, you can tap on the brush, go again inside the brush studio, stabilization, play around with the amount of streamline and the amount of stabilization. We don't need to have much of the amount right here, so you can tweak it. You can get back to this option later on if you need to. When we are done with it, with adjusting everything here, let's hit done and let's go and work onto the fluffiness of our shape right here onto the front. So we will go with the slightly smaller size of the brush. We will need to try it out right here. So let's go with something around maybe 16% or 20%. It's okay. You can decide on your own. We will go along this shape right here and we will add in some peculiar little shapes. So firstly, let's go toward the left side and we will go with a big shape like that. When we have it, we will go towards the top from it and we will be creating little fluffy parts like that. So we are creating a tiny little element like that, a very triangular little strand. And you can see that we are working with this pressure brush. So if you are adding less pressure to your Apple Pencil, you will create the thinner line. And if you're adding more pressure, you will create a thicker line. So again, we will go and create our lines, our little shapes with this pressure thing. If you see that you can go and grab your eraser to adjust some parts, so for example, you don't want to have like a very not nice element right here. Let's go with our eraser and create the shape going in that way. And now we will be going along the shape and we will be adding these peculiar little details. So let's go towards the bottom part of this first element and we'll be going there and creating something similar to what we have on the top. We can go with different directions right here with different sizes. And basically what we need to do right here is to create a couple of these details to achieve this very cute and fluffy effect. Let's go toward the bottom, create the smaller shapes right here. You can go and create a few of these elements. If you see that maybe the overall line right here doesn't look too good, so you have a very abrupted end right here or a very angular little corner, go and soften the corners by going manually with your brush and creating something going in that way. And then let's go toward the top and continue creating these details. So we also kind of need to pay attention to the gravity, you know, and that means that we will need to have these big bumps more voluminous on the bottom. So not going like that. We will need to add a bit more of the weight right here onto the bottom. So let's go and create something going in that way. So that way it will be a little bit cuter. And now let's go toward the top and one more time going like here, the same way as we have right here, and going and creating a couple of details here too. So let's go and create a couple more of these fluffy elements. You can go like that with very peculiar shapes. You can go over the top and maybe not create these little details. Go toward the opposite side, rotate your canvas and start to add a few more of these elements. Right here, let's go and create a couple of details like that. Going toward the bottom part, starting to add a few more details here. If you see that this brown color is going a little bit not on the places that you want it to be, go a little bit bigger with the shapes that you have for the fluffy parts and kind of hide it. Now let's continue by going and creating a couple more of these details, maybe going like that. You can experiment with different shapes right here, it's up to you. Create something that you would like to see right here. When you are done, let's go toward this little part and maybe add a bit more of these details. Create a very peculiar little shape right here. So let's take a look at our shape from the distance. If you like how the outline looks, how the overall shape looks, let's continue by going toward this little part right here. And we will go the same way with our brush and we will create a couple more fluffy parts right here. But this time, let's go along the shape that we have for our overall bee. So not going with straight lines, with horizontal lines or vertical lines, going along the shape like that and creating a couple of the details like that. So you can go with two little lines, maybe with a couple more. You can adjust the size of this element or whatever you want to change right here. When we are done with it, let's also go and add one more detail with the color that we have for this brown element. And as we already have it onto our screen, let's use one of our fingers. We will hold it onto this color. You will see that we invoke this eyedropper tool. If you move it, the color on the top is changing. We'll need to go to this brown color. And when we have the brown color on the top of this tool, we will lift it up. You will see that here it is changed, the color. And we will go toward the opposite side of our stripe. And we will kind of create some little cuts right here, but we are actually not cutting anything. We are using our brush. So let's go toward the bottom, for example, and let's create a couple more of these peculiar little fluffy parts. Again, going with the very rounded shape right here, along the shape of our bee, not with straight lines, with, you know, like horizontal lines or something. Working with our brush, working with our eraser if you need to adjust something. Take a look at everything from the distance. Maybe if you want to add more details, you are welcome to go and do that. If you want to zoom in and maybe work more precisely onto these shapes so you will have a nicer result, you are welcome to go and do that too. Now, when we are done with it, Let's go and add a couple more details on the top with the same color. So firstly, we will go toward the top area right here, and we will create the kind of antennas or something that bee has, I don't know. So to position them correctly, we will go and do the following. We will go again to our layers. We will create one more layer on top, and we will straight away go to our N icon and change the opacity to something very low. So for example, like 20% or so. And we will go and create some guiding lines so they will help us to position our future facial features and these elements that we just talked about, the antennas on the top, so they will look like nice, okay? So let's go towards our middle part right here, and with the line like that, we will go and create our first guiding line. So we will need to have more space over our left side because it's closer to us. So hold your line at the end, and let's go to our editing mode to adjust it slightly. We will need to go with a rounder shape, so go and adjust the curvature if you need to. And when you have the result like that, let's go and tap on the screen to accept the changes. And then we will go and create another guiding line that will later on help us to build up our facial features. So we will go toward the top area. If you want, you can go and firstly map out where the center of the shape is. We will go slightly higher than the center, and we will create another rounder shape like that. So again, hold it at the end, go to the editing mode right here, which is our arc option on the top, was our arc option on the top, and let's go and adjust it if we need to. Again, we will need to have a rounded shape right here. So when you have the result like that or something like that, let's tap onto our screen to accept the changes. And now when we have these guiding lines, if they are too bright, you can go to your layers one more time, tap onto the N icon and adjust the opacity even more. If they are okay, let's go back to our layer where we have these fluffy parts and these additional elements with the same color and with the same brush. We will go toward the top and we will start to create these antennas here. If you don't want to mess up a little bit, you can go and create one more layer on top, so you don't need to go to this layer and like go and cut the parts with your eraser and be precise with your shapes. Go to the new layer, create it, and then let's go over the top and let's start by creating a shape like that. So go into this middle part that we have, the middle guiding line, step in a bit from it to the left firstly, and very easily we will go and create a shape like that. If you need a couple of attempts, you are welcome to go and have a couple of attempts. When you have it, let's go toward our color, let's drag it inside. And when we have it onto our left, let's go toward the right and do something similar here. So let's step a bit from our central line. We will need to have a bit less space right here, and we will create something similar here. So you can go and create the exact shape right here onto the right, or you can play around a little bit and create something going, for example, in that way. So when we have it, let's drag and drop the color inside. When we have the second antenna here, when you are satisfied with it, let's continue by going and creating our facial features. So either on the same layer that you are right now on, let's go and create our facial features here, or if you want to create them on a separate layer, go and create a separate layer. When you are done selecting whether you want to stay at this layer or create a new one, let's go and work on our facial features. So firstly, go into this line that we have right here in the bottom, like the middle part right here, and we will go and create the shape like that. So we will create the very nicely looking little ellipse. Let's create it, not too big, not too small, and add the color inside. And we will do something similar on the opposite side too. So let's again step a bit from the center, a little bit more space right here, and creating the shape right here, slightly bigger onto this side. So again, if you need to adjust it, go and adjust it. Go and drag and drop the color inside. If you have some extra elements that you don't need, go with your eraser and adjust the parts that you don't need to create the nicely looking ellipse. And if you have the parts that are missing, go with your brush manually, maybe with a slightly smaller size of the brush, and create this missing part. Now, when we have the shape like that, it doesn't look too friendly. So let's go and adjust it. We will go toward our magic wand tool over the top left. We'll go under Liquify and we'll be using the option push. We have this size slider, so we can go to it and we can adjust the size of the brush that we're going to be pushing with. And let's go and start pushing. So what we need to do is to go from the bottom like that, and we will be creating a shape of a very, very soft kind of crescent, or the bread loaf, but not like too bread loafy. So we will need to go and spend some time here. We will need to have the corners a little bit less voluminous than the middle part. So going like that and creating the shape that will look nice. We also don't want to go too far away from this middle line that we have. So let's go like that and maybe create it in that way. Going toward the opposite side when we are done with the first side, and doing something similar here too. So when we have this first shape, let's go probably with slightly bigger size of the brush and starting to do the same thing. So going from the bottom and starting to create this rounder shape right here. Let's add a bit more of the volume right here on the top, and then we will work onto our sides. So going like that, trying out some things right here, trying to make it similar to the shape that we have onto the opposite side. If you see that the opposite side is too small, you are welcome to go and fix it with your tool that you are working on right now. So basically what we need is to have a very smooth and very rounded shape. You also can go to the size slider when you are working onto this shape and adjust it to maybe go and precisely work onto some areas right here with the smaller size of the brush or with the bigger size of the brush. When we are done with creating these shapes like that, when you like how they look, let's go and tap onto our magic wand tool one more time. Actually, we need to tap twice, so we will go away from this tool. If you see that maybe you can go and move the shape slightly, so we would want to go to this little eye onto the right and move it slightly towards the left, so it's not too far. We will go to our S ribbon icon, freehand method, and we will go and select the shape like that. So loop it around when it is selected and only it is selected. We'll go to our arrow key one more time, uniform method, and we can drag the shape toward the left. If you want to rotate it, go to the green node right here, rotate it slightly if you want to, if you need to. And when you found the placement and rotation and everything, let's one more time tap onto our S ribbon icon to go away from this selection mode. Now, when we have the result like that, let's switch the color to shadow right here. And with the smaller size of the brush, either our studio pen, or if you want to get back to your monoline brush, you are welcome to go and do that. We will go to this area right here on the bottom and right between the eyes, and we will create the mouth right here. So let's go with a kitty mouth like that. So going toward the sides and starting to create a mouth going in that way. So you can hold your lines, and in the end, you can go and create it in a bit of a crooked way or in a bit of the not crooked way. It's up to you. Go with a smaller size of the brush. Again, if you have some extra elements that are not looking good, go and work onto them with your brush and with your eraser. Now, when we have the result like that, let's go and create the cheeks. So for the cheeks, we will go to our color palettes and we will go and select the color with the title cheeks. So when we have the color, let's go underneath the first cheek right here, the first eye, and we will create this actual cheek. So going towards the left side, firstly creating the shape. If you want to go with the circles, hold your line, hold your Apple Pencil, go to your editing mode, go to the editing mode, I already said it, go to the editing mode, adjust the placement for this element. When you are done, let's go and tap on the screen and drag and drop the color inside. Now going to the opposite side too and creating something similar here. So again, holding our line at the end, holding one of our fingers, making these cheeks slightly bigger. If you overdid it, you can go to the editing mode, and to adjust the size from the editing mode, we will need to go right between the nodes right here, hold our Apple Pencil and drag it more towards the inside part. Now, the same way as before, find the placement for this cheek. So for example, let's go maybe not that big with the size, probably something like that. Drag it towards the top. When you found the placement, let me check whether it looks fine. When you found the placement, tap on the screen and drag and drop the color inside. If you still feel that this is too big, you can go again to your S ribbon icon, freehand method, and very accurately separate these things like that. Loop this thing around and go to your arrow key, uniform method, and adjust the size of this element. Again, find the placement for it if you need to. When you are done, tap onto the S ribbon icon, and let's go and add a few more details. So we will go to our shadow color one more time, and we will go inside the cheeks and we will add some blushing parts. So let's go and create a couple of lines like that. Try to make them parallel to one another and even on both cheeks. When you have the result like that, let's go and turn off. Well, actually, we don't need to turn it off yet. We will go and create one more layer. onto this new layer, let's go and create the wings. So for the wings, let's go and select the color with the title wings, and we will go towards the first side, for example, this one that we have right here onto the left, and let's create the shape right here. So for our shape, we can start by creating the shape of the ellipse like that. So hold your line at the end, adjust the size and rotation if you need to while you are holding your Apple Pencil. Go to the 18 mode if you need to. We will need to have something that big. When you have it, let's tap on the screen and let's go toward the opposite side and create something similar here. So going like that again with the similar shape, holding it at the end, trying to make it slightly smaller. Go into our 18 mode one more time to find the placement. Take a look at the top part only. So we will have these parts that we have right here a little bit like behind the face. So pay attention to the shapes that are going on the top. So when you have the shape like that, tap on the screen. Let's go and drag and drop the color inside these parts. And let's go again to our Liquify tool. So go into our Magic Wand tool, Liquify, push option, size slider, and we will adjust our wings slightly so they will look like the wings. We will need to go over the bottom part and we will need to create the shape going in that way. So spend some time here, adjust your shape. If you need to go to the opposite side here to adjust it here too. So we will need to have like a flatter shape onto the sides. If you want to play more with the shapes, you are welcome to go and do that. When you are done with the shapes, when you like how they look, tap onto your Magic Wand tool twice to go away from this mode. And then let's go back to our layers. Let's select this layer. When it is selected, actually it was selected, we will need to hold this layer and drag it underneath our layer with the face right here. You can see that it automatically clipped. We don't need it, so let's tap on it and let's use clipping mask right here. And also let's go and make these little wings more transparent. So we'll tap onto the N icon and go to the opacity slider to set it to something around maybe 40-50%. Adjust it on your own. When you are done, tap on the screen. And let's get rid of this layer that we have for our middle part, like the guiding lines. So let's tap onto this check mark right here. And now when we have the layer like that with our wings and we don't have anything that is bothering us as our guiding lines, let's create one more layer on top and let's go and switch the color to these wings outlines. Now we will go towards these parts that we have right here, and probably it will be easier for us to get back to our calligraphy folder monoline brush because we have all this smoothness done for this line, for this brush. And we will go along these shapes right here with slightly smaller size of the brush, for example 6%, and we will go along these parts that we have right here and we will create the outlines. So go along this shape, hold your line at the end if you need to create a smoother shape and work onto the connections. We will need to have very nice connections right here, very seamless. So tap on the screen if you see that you can go and work with your eraser or maybe with your brush to create a nice connection between the shapes. Go and do that and continue creating the outlines for this shape. So again, work with your brush, work with your eraser, try to add the same weight for the line everywhere. And let's go to the opposite side and do the same thing here too. So again, hold your lines and the ends and go toward this element right here. If you need to create a couple of lines, you are welcome to go and do that too. Just pay attention to the connections between the parts if you are creating the parts. Now, when we have the result like that, let's get back to our previous brush. So go into our inking folder, selecting our, what was it? Studio Pen brush. And let's go inside the shapes of our wings and we will create some peculiar little pattern right here. So what we will be doing, we will be going with a very low amounts of the pressure right here and we'll be creating some peculiar little details like that. So let's go and create a couple of lines, a very peculiar pattern, maybe something going in that way, connecting the parts, find what looks good for you. Let's go maybe slightly lower right here and create another little detail. So create a pattern that will look like it is the wing of the fly or of the bee or something. Don't go beyond the frames of this shape that you've created. And do the same onto the opposite side here too. So try to connect everything nicely. Try not to have like weird connections or ugly connections. Create the peculiar little pattern like that. And as always, try not to overdo it. When you are done with creating the pattern like that, let's go and work on some other areas. So let's go toward our layers. Let's go toward the layer where we have our facial features and everything. And actually, let's go and finish up with our facial features. So what we will do, we will go toward this layer. We will create one more layer above it. We will tap on it and we will use the clipping mask. Then we will go to our brush library. We will go toward the airbrushing folder, soft blend brush, and we will go and select the shadow color. Let's go with the smaller size of the brush of something around maybe 5% or so, and set the opacity to something around 20%. And very easily, maybe I will try out the smaller size of the brush and I will tell you whether you need to change it. We will go towards these sides right here to our little eye, and we will add a bit of a blush right here. We're going to the shape that we have right here for our cheek, but we can very easily go to our eraser and get rid of it. So I set the size of the brush, of the main shape of the brush, to 6%, and it works perfectly. We will go toward the opposite side right here and create something similar here too. We will need to have a very smooth transition between the colors, so don't create something blotchy right here. Let's go toward this top part. Let's erase everything that we don't need, so we are staying only inside the eyes right here. And when you are done with it, let's get back to our brush library, going again to our inking folder, studio pen brush, and changing the color of our brush to white. Now let's go inside the shapes of our eyes and let's add a highlight right here, or a couple of highlights. So let's go with the similar shape to what we have to the main shape of our eye and create something good in that way. Let's go to the opposite side here too and create something similar here too. I'll probably go with slightly bigger shape right here. So we always take a look at our illustration from the distance to create a nice shape and to see clearly what we are doing when we are done with it. You know, I would want to go and maybe move the whole face slightly down so it will be a little bit cuter, and we can do it very easily by going and selecting both of these layers. So when the first one is selected, we'll go to the bottom one and swipe it from left to right, and then we'll go one more time to our S ribbon icon, freehands method, and we will select these elements that we have for our face. When we have them, go into our arrow key, uniform method, dragging the shape to where you want it to be. When you found the placement for these elements, tap onto your arrow key. I accidentally accepted everything, so I am just guiding you what you need to do to achieve the same result. So when we have the shape like that, and when we are satisfied with our facial features and everything, let's go and add a few more details. So firstly, go into our layers, go above our layer with these additional elements for our highlights and something, creating one more layer here and switching the color to legs and eyes. Let's go toward the bottom part. We will go underneath the cheek and we will create a round shape like that. So hold your line and the end, as always, go to the 18 mode to smash it a little bit, smash it, make it smaller, make it bigger, rotate it, do whatever you want to do to create a nice little leg. When you have it, tap on the screen, drag and drop the color inside. If you have some extra elements, go and erase them, probably not like that. With a smaller size of the eraser, go and do that. And when you have the first one, going toward the opposite side and doing something similar here. So let's go with slightly smaller size of the brush, creating our shape right here, go into our editing mode, adjusting it, taking a look at it from the distance to find the placement for this. When you are done, tap on the screen, probably let's make it slightly smaller, tap on the screen and drag and drop the color inside. And as our color suggests legs and eyes, we also could go toward the eyes and recolor them. So let's go and do that. We will go to our layer where we have our facial features, create one more layer here, and it will be automatically clipped to our previous layer because we have one layer that is clipped on the top. And with our brush, with a bigger size of it, we will go over the shapes of our eyes and we will recolor them very, very easily. Let's go toward the opposite side here too and create something similar here. So when we have recolored everything, let's go and work onto our shadows and highlights. So firstly, going toward our layers, go into our layer where we have our body, this one, And we actually will go and create the new layer above this fluffy part here too. So going above all these yellow layers and creating one more layer here. Let's tap onto our N icon and change the blending mode to multiply and set the opacity to something around 40, 45, 50%. Changing the color to shadow, and then with our studio pen brush and probably with the smaller size of the brush, we will go toward the bottom and we will firstly go and create the shape like that. So probably with even smaller size of the brush, so we will have more control over it. So create a rounded shape like that, and then going toward the opposite side and creating the second little shape right here. Now make sure that they are connected together, and then we will go and create the continuation, so like looping the whole shape around like that. And then when we have no gaps right here, drag and drop in the color inside. Now when we have the result like that, we don't need these parts over the bottom and on the side, so let's go and get rid of them. Go into our layers, and firstly we will go and find this layer where we have the potato shape. Let's tap on it and let's use the option select. Now on the bottom we will use the option invert, and then we will grab our eraser, making the size big and going over this part, and nothing happens because we are not on the right layer. So go into this layer where we have the shadow and erasing this part that we don't need. So let's go like that, and then we will need to change the layer. So we will need to go and select this layer that we have right here. So let's go probably to the layer that we have on the bottom. So selecting it, tapping, select, and then one more time invert, going back to our layer where we have our shadow and going to the bottom part right here. And then when we recolored everything, got rid of everything that we don't need on the bottom, we will go toward this layer that we have for the fluffy part and do the same thing here. So tapping on it, selecting it, going again to our layers. This one, we forgot that we will need to invert it. So don't worry, we will hold our Apple Pencil at this edge ribbon icon and we will get back this selection. And we will use the option invert. And now again, go into our layer where we have this little part that we need to erase and going like that and erasing it. Now, when we are done, I know that it was a little bit too much, but we have the separate layers right here and that's what we need to do. So when we have the shape like that, it doesn't look too good. So we can go and either work with our Liquify tool and maybe adjust the overall like line right here like that. And when we have it, we will go to our brush one more time firstly, and then we will hold our eraser icon. So that way we will have our eraser set at the same studio pen brush. And then we will go to the top part that we have right here for our shadow, and we will add the fluffy parts right here too. So let's go and create a couple of them to create some fluffy effect here too. So let's go like that. Let's go to the opposite side right here and create something good. In that way, you can go with more of these elements. Try to create something similar to what you have right here onto this side. Try not to overdo it as always. Try to create nice, peculiar little shapes. If you want to go to these parts right here and create something similar here too, you are welcome to go and do what you need to do. Now, when we have the result like that, decide onto the level of opacity that you would want to see right here. So if you want to go with slightly less opacity, tap on the layer, tap onto the M icon, adjust the opacity from here. And when we have the result like that, let's go and add a bit more of the shadows, for example. So firstly, we will go toward our layers. We will create one more layer right here. And we will go to the previous layer where we have our shadow. We'll tap on it and we will use the option select. Going back to this new layer that we've created and changing the color to either brown or legs and eyes. And also we'll need to get back to our list and change the blending mode to multiply and set the opacity something around maybe 30% or so. And we will go toward this area that is now selected and we will create the second layer of shadow. So let's go slightly lower and create the shadow going in that way. So mostly going toward the brown parts right here and creating the shadow going like that. Adding the color inside. When we are ready, if it's not working, go manually. Try not to go toward this yellowish part right here. And if you went to this yellowish part, go manually and erase the parts that you don't need to be recolored with this brownish color. Again, if you want, you can go toward these little parts right here and add some fluffiness. So it's up to you whether you want to do that or not. When we're done with it, let's tap onto our selection, our S ribbon icon, decide onto the level of opacity right here. If you want to go a little bit bigger, a little bit higher with the opacity, you're welcome to go and do that. Lower, good too. When we are done with it, we are kind of done with our shadows. So let's go and create some highlight. We will go above all the layers that we have. So even above the layer that we have for our little legs, let's create one more layer here. Go into our color palettes and selecting white color. With the white color, let's go firstly toward our top parts that we have right here for our bee. And let's go and create a couple of highlights. Again, the same way as we did before with some peculiar little shapes. So let's go like that. Let's go toward our little flies, not the flies, the wings right here. So going like that, starting to add some beautification, some little sparkles. If you want to go onto these antennas and add the highlights here too, you are welcome to go and do that. Try not to overdo it, but if you overdid it, I won't judge you. Let's go and add a couple more of these elements. So for example, maybe we can go to the body part. And when we have the result like that, let's go and work onto our grass to finish up with our illustration. So to the grass part, we will go through our layers. We will go to the top actually. We will go and create one more layer here above all the layers that we have, and we will change the color to green. So when we have this color, we will be going and creating the patch right here over the top. So let's go and start to create some kind of a wobbly shape right here like that. And then when we have it, we will go with the bigger size of the brush. Again, we are using our Studio Pen brush, and we'll be adding some strands. So the same way as we did before, I accidentally put a little green dot right here. I will get rid of it. We will go and start adding the strands the same way as we did with these little parts right here. So let's go with bigger shapes, with smaller shapes, with differently placed elements right here, and going like that and starting to add our little grass right here. So going along the whole shape, starting to add these peculiar little details, we also could go and start to fill the area that we have right here on the top with this additional color. So going like that, going to our bees to hide this little part that we've created right here. So going like that, starting to add the peculiar details, continuing to add these additional elements right here, going with bigger shapes, smaller shapes, starting to add the little peculiar details. So let's go through the whole shape right here, and we will add these grassy elements for our bee and for this grass patch. So going manually like that, going along the shape that we have, so not going too far beyond the frames that we have, for example, for the leg right here or for other elements, starting to add these peculiar little details and going along the whole thing right here and starting to add more grass right here. Again, use the power of this brush that you are using. So that means that we can use the pressure right here and create nice strands by using less pressure or more pressure. Go with different directions. Again, try not to overdo it, but if you want, you are welcome to go and overdo it to your liking. Let's go towards the left side and let's continue creating this little part right here. So let's go toward the leg. Let's add a couple of details here. Let's finish up creating this part right here by creating some strands of, I want to say hair, but it's not hair, strands of grass right here onto this side. Take a look at everything from the distance, decide whether you like it or not, and when you are done with it, let's grab our eraser and let's go toward the bottom part, and we will cut some parts here to continue creating our grass right here with these little peculiar shapes. So again, the same way as before, using our pressure brush, going along this thing right here, the bottom part of it, and cutting some parts to create some fluffy effects. Now, when we have the result like that, let's get back to our brush and let's actually go and create one more layer on top. So go into our layers, creating one more layer on top. Let's switch the color to flowers and we will go and create some flowers. So firstly, let's go toward this area right here onto our left and let's go with the peculiar shape like that. So we are kind of putting the flower onto our shape right here, so probably we can go slightly higher like that, but we are not making it very rounded, so we will create it in a more like a laying way. And when you have the shape, drag and drop the color inside. Make sure that you like the overall shape, take a look at it from the distance, go toward the opposite side right here, for example, and let's create one more little flower. So let's create something maybe like that. When you have it, we will go and switch the color to yellow, and we will add these little details that we have inside our flower. Let's go toward both of these elements and create these additional details. Now, if you want, with the same color that we are using right now, we can go and create maybe one more flower or a couple of flowers, create them like that, for example, here too, and then switch the color to orange and add the color right here to the middle part right here too, right here. When you have it like that, we also could go and switch the color to, for example, white, and we can go and add some sparkles right here. So let's go and add a little peculiar glitter right here onto the overall shape that we have for our grass. And when we have the result like that, if you want to add more details, you are welcome to go and do that. When we have the result like that, let's go and position it at the center firstly. So we will need to go to our layers and select every layer that we have for our bee. So going when one layer is selected, swiping the next one from left to right, and going through all of the layers that we have right here. So let's go through all of the layers like that, and then we will go to our arrow key on the top left, uniform method, go to the snapping, turn on snapping if it's not selected, and let's go hold our Apple Pencil, and we will be looking for these two orange lines, one vertical, one horizontal. When we have it like that, if you want, maybe if you want to squish it a little bit, I would want to squish it, we can go toward the freeform method, and we will go to this middle node right here on the top, and we will drag it slightly down. So when you squished it like that, when you like the result, let's go tap onto our arrow key to go away from this mode. And if you want to go a little bit extra, we can go toward our layers, create one more layer above all the layers or above the layer with our flowers right here. We can go and change the color to, for example, wings. And with this color, we can go and add some additional elements right here. So for example, let's go and create some hearts. Let's go with a couple of details. If you want, you can go to the description and download the folder. You can find the flowers and everything, hearts and some other details there. And you can use them here, but I will probably go with the hand-drawn things. And when we have the result like that, when we have our hearts and everything here, we are done with our illustration. I hope you are proud of your result. Share it on socials and tag me so I can see your beautiful creations. And if you enjoyed this video, you can find more similar kawaii tutorials on my Skillshare or on Patreon at the link in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.